For more on that, I'm joined by Sourabh Gupta. He's a senior fellow at the Institute for China-American Studies. Sourabh, I just want to pick up from where Li Tang left. The theme, she said, was attacking unilateralism. We heard from many world leaders, including Wang Yi, saying multiculturalism is the way forward. Do you think that message got across to the Trump administration, to Donald Trump himself, who was there?
Perhaps not, or perhaps yes. It got across to him. Whether he internalizes and reflects on the message is a completely different thing. I'm actually pretty certain he got that message because, you know, when he did hold that session on Iran and chair that session on Iran, he was the only person out who was criticizing the deal. Everybody sat around the table at the horseshoe table at the United Nations Security Council and supported the deal. So he is hearing it clearly. But whether that changes the approach is a different matter altogether. And
there was this meeting, again, to try to salvage the Iran nuclear deal, the JCPOA, by the signatories. Any indication that that can actually happen?
They are trying to do the best that they can do at their end. It really, I think, boils down to the Japanese, the P4+1, which also includes China and Russia, as to how they help ensure a payments mechanism for Iran so that Iran feels it has not been cheated in this deal. So, of course, the sanctions are going to come in, the secondary sanctions are going to be imposed, but frankly, if there's that mechanism for payment of oil to the Iranians, I think we will at least be able to have the Iranians stay in the deal. We have to understand one thing out here. The Iran deal is a Security Council resolution. It is international law. Countries should not be punished by the United States for observing international law with secondary sanctions. But we need to see how robust the process is and how strongly people champion it.
You know, it's quite remarkable. I would have never imagined that at the UN, at the General Assembly, the Security Council, that the Americans may come across as the odd man out. And on many cases, that appeared to be the situation with Donald Trump there. Do you think there's a shift in power dynamics on the global stage?
I wouldn't quite say there's a shift in power dynamics. We heard so many of the other countries and their leaders saying that we are living at a difficult time of global challenges. Those challenges cannot be resolved individually. We need to come together as a group and work multilaterally. Now, we've also seen the Republican Party, and I would not just put it to Donald Trump, even in the previous George W. Bush administration, trying to get out of Kyoto, trying to get out of the International Criminal Court, et cetera, not necessarily observing international law when it went into Iraq in 2002, 2003. So we've got a little bit of an isolationist, a Republican Party, which then when it assumes the presidency is not always in keeping with international law and supporting multilateralism. So I think there are a lot of champions of multilateralism within the American foreign policy establishment, but there's also a sense that America is not only tethered to that, and because America is so strong and such an important part of the United Nations system, it can create difficult circumstances.
And quickly, if we can, the U.S. got high marks, of course, on the DPRK denuclearization talks, but the Security Council is divided on keeping the sanctions in place, and the DPRK foreign minister said that sanctions are eroding trust in the U.S. Are these sanctions helping or hurting the talks?
I think at this point of time, we can still say that they're helping, but if there is not movement on the U.S. North Korea front in terms of denuclearization and the sanctions just stay out there, it's not going to be an enabler, it's going to be a trust breaker, and the situation can turn for the negative.
Sourabh Gupta, we'll have to leave it there, Senior Fellow at the Institute for China-America Studies.